Hello and welcome back to the North Somerset Educational Psychology Service Training Library. This is the second video in a two-part series on the behaviour as a form of communication theory. And here we will focus on answering the key question, how can we meet children's underlying needs in early years and primary school settings? The purpose of this video is to put theory into practice, to turn the ideas into specific actions we can take. And we have examples based around four main themes, which were the themes emerging from the Early Years Emotional Wellbeing Research Project carried out by Dr. Dulcie Gray in North Somerset earlier this year. So the first theme is the role of the adult. This is about how we can build positive and secure relationships with the children in our setting. Then we have the environment. And this is about how we can ensure the physical environment and resources meet children's developmental needs. And next we have celebrating the individual, which is about celebrating achievements, differences, and promoting independence. And finally, we'll look at strategies for success, which is about behaviour support strategies we can build into our everyday routines. The behaviour as communication approach is not reinventing the wheel, it's about thinking differently about the things we already do. If we are curious about what a child's behaviour might be communicating, we can match what's available in our setting with their needs. So if we are confronted by behaviour which confuses or challenges us, we can think about games, strategies, and experiences that meet the child's needs in a more positive, safe, or appropriate way. So our first theme is the role of the adult. We're going to look at some roles and ways of being that adults in foundation stage settings can embody to meet the needs of children. Essentially, we're focusing on attachments here, which is the idea of creating secure and positive caregiving relationships with young children. And we have 7 examples of relationship building approaches, starting with giving specific praise. Rather than saying well done, we might try to be as specific as possible. Creating a sense of safety by emphasizing that we are always interested in understanding and meeting children's needs. Being predictable and consistent, for example, all staff members using shared scripts for rules and expectations. Containing feelings by showing and telling children that we can handle how they feel, that their emotions are not too much for us to cope with. Using mirroring or co-regulation to help children recognize that we can share their emotions and therefore understand them. Using the PACE approach, which means that we show playfulness, acceptance, curiosity, and empathy, just like a loving parent does. And wondering out loud, which is, rather than telling children how they feel, giving them an option to correct us and hoping this reduces defensiveness. And the second theme is enabling environments. We're going to try an activity here. In the first video in the series, we looked at some typical foundation stage scenarios and made guesses about the children's underlying needs. On the screen, you'll see examples of these needs, which might be met by different aspects of the physical environment, like the toys, play equipment, furniture, and decoration of the playroom or classroom. Have a think about something that's available in your setting to meet these needs. Try to focus on the physical environment, like the things children can see, touch, and hear. Some things might meet more than one need, like a climbing frame, for example, might meet a need for movement, as well as a need for sensory stimulation. Here are some examples I thought of when I pictured early years and reception year settings I visited. Some are pretty obvious things that we provide in all settings, like ensuring the room isn't too cold, and some are a bit less common, like ensuring that storage and clothes hangers are low enough for children to reach, or including natural resources like shells, sticks and stones, or cosy calming places. And each of these things is meeting an underlying need that the children in our setting have. And meeting these underlying needs prevents children from expressing them through unwanted behaviour. For example, if we are meeting a child's need for movement by providing an obstacle course, it may be that they are less likely to run and jump in risky ways around the playroom. So the third theme in the Early Years Research Project is celebrating the individual. This is all about strategies which help children feel special, trusted, and valued. They meet children's needs to feel that they belong, to feel that they can achieve, and to feel that they can be independent. And we've got 6 examples of things we can do to celebrate individual children, which we will look at one by one, starting with giving personal praise. We touched on this in the role of the adult section. It's all about making our praise as meaningful as possible by using children's names and labelling exactly what we liked to see. Next we have giving visual rewards. We can reinforce behaviour we really like seeing and encourage children to repeat the behaviour using specific rewards. It's nice if we have a combination of instant rewards, for example stickers, and longer term rewards, for example putting tokens into a kindness jar and giving a certificate when a certain number of tokens is reached. Next is displaying children's art and models on walls. If we want individual children to feel like they belong in our preschool, a really clear and visual method is displaying their art and models on walls if possible. Group art projects are especially good here because they also teach children the value of working together to achieve something bigger. And the fourth example is displaying photos of other achievements, like towers they have built, or obstacle courses they've designed, or flowers they have watered. Another example of celebrating individuals is encouraging them to be independent. This is about letting children try things on their own. Some settings have a rota of jobs after snack time, like sweeping or wiping tables. Some have serve yourself snack stations. For younger children, it might simply be about encouraging them to make choices using photos or choice boards. And we must also remember the importance of celebrating diversity. There are some really nice local examples of this, like settings which celebrate different cultural festivals, like doing face painting for Diwali, or eating dates and making samosas for Eid. Some settings have posters which say hello in different languages, and it can be as simple as offering toys and books with diverse characters. And the final theme from the early years research report is strategies for success. We have a mixture of strategies here which we can split into proactive or preventative strategies and reactive strategies. This means that we are providing a combination of strategies to reduce the risks of challenging behaviour and also to respond to that behaviour so it's less likely to be repeated. For this theme, we are going to do the opposite of what we did with the environments theme. We're going to look at a list of behaviour support strategies and think about the underlying needs that they meet in children. So we'll start with some proactive or preventative strategies. Let's take number 1, transitions. And this is all about helping children switch between activities and routines. And the ways we can support children to prepare for and accept transitions include singing, playing music, wiggling fingers, or clapping. Some settings also use movement breaks to help children burn off energy before activities which require concentration. And some settings support individuals with delayed language skills through visual timetables, now and next boards, objects of reference, and other visual countdown objects like sand timers. Let's have a think about the needs we are meeting when we support children to make transition from one activity to another. Again, this is a matter of opinion. In terms of the behaviour as communication approach, the important thing is that we get in the habit of thinking about the underlying needs that we meet through our actions and environment. The next proactive strategy for success is known as emotional labelling. This is when we use deliberate steps to teach children to put words to different emotions. Some settings use books about emotions. Some use choice boards and encourage children to identify their feelings each day when they arrive or after lunch. Some use puppets and role play to act out emotions, or even make a game of linking words to smiley faces with emotions bingo. So which underlying needs might we be meeting when we help children develop their emotional vocabulary? Well, it could be their need for expression and communication, their need to develop connection and empathy with others, their need for calming and emotional regulation, or their need to feel validated and accepted by us. And the final preventative strategy for success we have is about providing children with a sense of choice during their day. And we can weave choices and options into nearly every activity for children, whether it's a choice about the type of activity they do next, the order that they follow an instruction in, like, shall we tidy up before or after our story, or the location that an activity takes place, which snack they want, or which colours or materials they want to use for paintings. Which needs do we think we are meeting when we give children choices to make? Well, maybe a need for control or autonomy, or a need for individual identity, or a need for self-esteem, or the need for independence. So now we'll look at some reactive strategies, and these are all examples of ways that we can respond to unwanted behaviour. And firstly, we have the idea of giving consistent responses. This is about helping reduce children's desire to test the boundaries by making them as clear and predictable as possible. So, for example, we could develop shared scripts for all staff, something that children hear every time a specific behaviour is performed, like, we don't throw things because someone could get hurt. It can also include consistent rewards for positive behaviours, and consistent consequences for challenging behaviour, for example, asking children to apologise if they've hurt someone. Consistency helps children learn more quickly and reduces their need to test the boundaries and rules. And if we are showing consistency, what needs are we meeting in children? Well, maybe their need for safety, need for praise and positive reinforcement, need for boundaries, or their need for predictability. And the next reactive strategy we have is known as emotion coaching. And this is a slightly more structured process of responding to behaviour. There are lots of online resources which explain emotion coaching in more detail, but it basically involves a step-by-step approach to responding to big displays of emotion, starting with noticing the emotion, empathizing with it, saying it's okay to feel that way, giving a label or name to the feeling, and helping a child come to a solution for coping with it. So reflecting on that key question again, we might say that emotion coaching meets children's need for connection to the adults in their setting, or their need for self-expression, or need for calming and emotional regulation, or maybe their need for security and trust in adults. And so the final strategy for success, if we've encountered unwanted behaviour, is known as conflict resolution. And this is all about teaching youngsters to manage disagreements and fallings out, which are natural experiences in their development. And we can do this by using simple language. Long explanations or complex reasoning may confuse younger children, so we want to keep it clear and simple. We also need to encourage problem solving. We might ask them simple questions like, what can we do so both of you can have fun? And we're doing really well if we can involve children in rule making, for example, asking them to suggest how adults can help when there are disagreements. And last but definitely not least, we need to celebrate situations where children repair relationships and reconnect with each other. Okay, time for a final summary of the theory and practice of the behaviour as a form of communication approach. First, if we understand children's underlying needs, we can often understand their behaviour. And then, if we can meet their underlying needs, we can manage their behaviour, helping them learn and grow. So all that's left to say is thank you for watching this video. Above all, look after yourselves. Helping children develop their social and emotional skills is not an easy job, but it's a vital one. If you'd like a certificate for completing this mini training module, please head over to the North Somerset Educational Psychology Service training library page, links to which you'll find under this video or via your favourite search engine.